Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to the first episode of Insights Uncovered. I hope we can put out some good content and you encountered something new from this. Today, we are joined with our very first guest and an amazing person right here. This is Mukul, a guy who's himself a great source of inspiration. Up to you now, Mukul. Head us with the quick introduction of yours.
Well, you have already mentioned my name, so I'll mention something that is not mentioned. I like to fly in the sky because that's kind of my profession, and I have very affectionate towards sky because it reflects open vastness, infinite energy. It aims for no limits. And that's the kind of personality that I am, who aims for a lot of things without putting limit to certain things. So, hello everyone, I am Mukul and I'm very happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me. Sari?
It's a pleasure having you here. Alright, before we move further, I would like you to enlighten us with few things like your job roles, how did you get into this?
Certainly, go right ahead.
Okay, you started working at the age of 19. So, I was wondering that when was the first time that this thought of being a cabin crew crossed your mind? Or like, is there any story that how you got fascinated by this job?
Indeed, there is a story. So I did not know nothing about aviation industry and like the prospect of becoming a cabin crew. One day we just received a call from one of the training centers who train cabin crew, and they invited us over for a quick ceremony or like a quick orientation and enlightening people about the industry and the job roles. And we went there. Right upon reaching, I was blown away knowing about all the opportunities in the aviation industry, how this works, how you can make a career out of it, and a lot of different things that includes with a job role, right? I was blown away. And indeed, I straight up wanted to join it, right? Because it indeed is very exciting. It's very lucrative, very enthusiastic industry, I must say. Busy as well, but in a simple term, I would say it's very fun. So I liked that part when they were briefing me about the job role and the opportunities in aviation industry. Therefore, I joined it, and that's where the game began for me. That's how I got to know. From my side, I was not aware of it at all. It was an invitation that I got from one of the centers, and then I got to know about all this.
So it wasn't your childhood dream, was it?
That this was not at all. Well, like, it's kind of weird how stories connect each other, because when I was a kid, my mom used to tell me I always used to look at the sky, and whenever there would be an aircraft flying over, I would get so enthusiastic and I would just look at it and start screaming or something, right? So that's one thing, right? After that, no, I did not have any inclination towards aviation industry. I was not even aware that I could make a career, right? So it was not a childhood dream at all. But still, like the connection of those two events, from being very inquisitive about sky and aircrafts and then following it later on, like on a spontaneous event, it's very different and strange, but good at the same time.
Well, apparently you can agree that you are exactly where you are meant to be.
I think I can. Well, I always believe that as human beings, like we are always where we are meant to be, no matter what the state and experience we are dealing with, we're always where the universe is asking us to be.
That is so true. Okay, so we all know that being a
Mhm.
flight attendant comes with a lots of benefits, like you get to stay in luxurious hotels, get to travel different places. However, this job is hectic.
It is. It is matter of fact. Job gets hectic. However, here's the thing. Here's the thing that I have personally realized. If you enjoy your job, if you like it, if you can make it fun, interactive, and social, it does not feel like work at all. In my flights, I'm trying to keep it fun, trying to add a purpose to it, and that's it, man. That's it. It just gives you a lot of energy, and out of the blue, you do not feel that it is hectic at all. However, if you're just treating it as a 9 to 5, just like a job, it would get very hectic, because I believe aviation is one of the busiest industries because there are no holidays. On Sundays, people are traveling more. During Christmas time, New Year time, vacations, every time people are always traveling. When it's on season, off season, people are always traveling, and the more travel that is taking place, that means the more flight attendant they would require on flights. Therefore, you would be pulled out for flights and work. So work wise, it is very hectic. Yes, people would get tired and you know stressed out over the flights. However, that's exactly counterintuitive in its own way. Indeed, it's hectic. However, if you can just shift your approach towards the job, like I said, keeping it fun and energetic, adding a purpose, attaching a meaning to it, then you will be able to deal with that hectic energy and just make it fun and you know like your second home, honestly.
Yes, it's just, you always try to add some fun things in your work so that it don't get monotonous. What do you think, 9 to 5 or flying? Which one is better?
Flying is better, of course. Well, you know, it depends on the person's wants and needs. um, well, the best part about aviation and flying is there is no monotony. Okay, indeed, like there are certain routines that you would get used to. However, if you look closely, every day you're dealing with new situations, new passengers, new colleagues, right? New workplace. Apparently, you're someday working on a bigger aircraft, the next you're working on a smaller aircraft. That's one. The colleague will change every day. You're not flying with the same crew as you were yesterday. The destination is different. There's a new excitement in the air. And the passengers, that's the most fun part. Every day you'll deal with some new drama. So, it's always nice to just, get out there and just do your very best and see what's there for today.
Yeah, isn't it like one of the coolest thing about aviation?
Right.
Cool. So this makes me ask you another question, which is, did you clear your interview in the very first attempt?
No, I did not. Well, you yes. So my first application. Well, I used to apply online, right, for a lot of while I was in training period. From that point only, I started applying for a lot of international airlines. However, of course, online they only view the profile, and if they do not see any flying experience, they would rarely call you for real life interviews. However, one time I got lucky. There's this airline Cathay Pacific, based out of Hong Kong, and it's one of the best airlines in the world, right? So I got through all of the online rounds. Luckily, right, it went so good. I was called out to Mumbai for attending their assessment day, and that was the first time while I was attending a real life interview, and I did not clear it. Matter of fact, I learned a lot of things from that experience. And then, yes, I was applying all the things that I learned from that experience. And then I gave another interview, and boom, I got it.
Interesting. So what are the things that you learned after you got rejected?
Right. Number one, do your hairstyle neatly. That's one. You see, being a flight attendant and cabin crew is all about being presentable and approachable. So your grooming is very important. You must be looking neat and sharp at all times. However, I believe my hairstyle, I did it nicely, but it could have been better. That's one thing, from my grooming aspect. Second, I was like trying too hard to prove myself, right? So I remember we were doing a group discussion round where there were 15 or 20 people in a circle. We had to talk about certain things. And I remember I was trying to give myself the opportunity to speak instead of listening more. So, like that attitude of proving yourself and not really caring about others, snatching opportunities from other people. I had that attitude, right? However, as I understood, cabin crew is not about that. It's about teamwork, and it's more about your listening part rather than your speaking part. So that was one of the most valuable lessons that I picked up from that experience, and I have applied it in my life, and it has helped me enormously. Listening.
Yeah, that is the thing, man. Like, always try to learn from your mistakes. So, how do you think that one can learn from the failures instead of crying over it?
All right. Wait, could you please repeat that question?
Okay, so my question was like
Uh
how
huh.
people can take lessons from their mistakes or failures rather than crying over it.
Yeah, that's a very good question. Well, I would say people should cry about their failures. That's one, like people resonate being strong with not crying. However, I think you should cry because if it really meant something to you, of course you would cry, right? Because it meant a lot to you and you did not get it. You did not clear that interview, you did not get that job, you did not win that tournament. Of course you would cry because you had hoped that you would win.
Yeah, because you worked hard.
Exactly, right. We expect ourselves to take it, and when we do not get it, people cry. Well, that's okay. Crying is the initial brain's reaction. However, turning it into a positive and seeking learnings from that experience is the most important part. And I believe one can do it by embracing stoicism. Like, stoicism is a very broad concept. However, just to simplify it in one sentence, see, just control the controllables. Okay, an experience happened. Okay, there were only two outcomes that could have taken place. You would either win, you would either lose, right? So I would either clear the interview or I would not. Just two sides of the same coin, right? So what is the big deal if I happen to be on the other side of the coin? It's fine. Maybe someday I would not be, right? So stoicism is all about just accepting what happened, okay, without giving out too much emotional reaction. So just accept what has happened, take it in, take a deep breath, and then do what is supposed to be done. Learn from it and move on. Just keep it simple.
That is a great insight.
Right.
All right, moving ahead, Mukul, tell us your interview experience, that how you dealt with all those emotions that were flooding at that time.
Yes, well, I certainly remember my first interview when I was there in my blazer and tie and shoes polished like mirrors. Well, one of the feelings that I was expecting myself to feel was nervousness and fear. However, I was so surprised that I was not feeling any of those things. I was not afraid at all. I was not nervous. I was not feeling pressure or afraid of anything. I was very courageous and bold on that day. So I remember I was feeling like I would just get it, right? I always believed in manifestation. So every moment I was getting the chance, I was manifesting that, yes, I would clear this round. Yes, I would do that. If they asked me this, I would do that. So I was very calm, composed, and in the control. People always lose control over themselves when situation arises in which you feel nervous. However, I was exactly the opposite, and that's so good. I was in control of myself, controlling my nerves, I was controlling the pressure, and that helped me to do my best. So that was what I was feeling, energy and excitement and no fear at all.
Cool. So you are an optimistic person, aren't you?
Indeed, I am. Indeed.
Yes. So, like, do you have any suggestions that how one can control or hold back their emotions on those crucial times?
Mm-hmm.
For an instance, a person going for an interview, taking an exam, or having a tournament. We all are nervous at that time.
Indeed. Indeed, we are. I used to play badminton professionally in my past life, and one thing that athletes are being taught is having the control over their breaths. So if there's intense match that is going on, you would need to control your nerves, or you would make a mistake and the opponent would win. However, this is the concept that you do not learn in your first match at all. Okay, it takes a lot of tournaments, and that's the learning right here. Every human being on this planet would feel that way. right? How you're supposed to feel. If a situation is making you nervous, it is supposed to make you feel nervous. You're supposed to feel that way. Any human being on the planet would feel that way if he or she would be in your shoes. So naturally, it's right of you to feel that emotion. That's one. However, when we speak of going against the flow, right, when there is a big opportunity in front of you and you are attending that event, and of course you would feel nervous because it's big and it means a lot to you. However, to go against the flow and eliminate that nervousness and replace it with boldness, with confidence, with courage, it takes practice. So, what I would recommend and what I would tell everyone to do is just go out there and put yourself in the same situation as many times as you can. Let's say for a performer, simple example, if there's a musician who is afraid of, or let's say a public speaker who is afraid of speaking in front of a crowd, how would he train himself if he has an event coming up and it's important to him? How would he train himself? He would go out into cafes, he would go out into public places and try to speak, right? And by getting out there and practicing to control that nervousness, by consistently putting himself out there, he learns to be confident in front of a front of a crowd, right? So that's the thing. If you feel nervous to do something, try to do it more. Right? People are, I've seen people are afraid of speaking English. This they're afraid that they will speak incorrect sentences. Well, I say go right ahead. Okay, don't be afraid of people judging you and all. They'll judge you for some time, but once you make progress, all the judging will be replaced. Judgment will be replaced by admiration. So just go out there, speak wrong English, go out there, practice in front of people. Just do exactly what makes you afraid till it doesn't. That's the best thing.
Yeah, mindset is everything. Suppose like there's a person out there who always thinks positive will have positive outcomes. On the other hand, a person who always thinks negative end up having negative outcomes. So it's all about mindset.
That is so true. Like the stories you tell yourself matters a lot. I was reading a self-improvement book, and in that book I came across this principle. What you tell yourself is so impactful in your life that you just do not know till what extent it can go. So it's very important to tell yourself good stories, dude. Right now, if I tell myself that my life is not going good and all, then my brain will start believing that and it will start producing such thoughts. But if I tell myself, no, dude, life is going good, everything goes on routine. Matter of fact, certain things are not working out, but my life as a whole is working, it's operating beautifully, and I love my life, and may the good results come to me. When I say such things, my brain starts to believe it. It really starts to believe and put his heart into that sentence that, okay, life is going good. And that is optimism, right? That's where the manifestation thing comes from, right? That's where your positive results you attract. It really, mindset is everything.
Yep, it's as simple as you keep on repeating good things, and your subconscious mind will automatically believe it, and then you'll start acting accordingly.
Exactly. It's all the game of training your subconscious mind. If you can do it, you're attracting the best of outcomes or the worst.
Absolutely. And oh, by the way, speaking of this, it reminded me of that book, The Power of Subconscious Mind.
Joseph Murphy. Yes. Have you read it?
Yes, I have.
Is it good?
Undoubtedly, it is. And I'm saying this because I have implemented those things in my life and I could clearly see changes.
Absolutely, dude. Absolutely. There's a very like I try to keep a very subtle balance between the two. At the same, like, I believe that the things that you do, your actions, these are the things that would give you results, right? Whatever the things that are in your direct control, right? So if I want to be productive, I would just open the book, read, I will do my tasks, like, you know the things that are directly in my control. However, I also try to keep balance between doing things and believing in things. So, yes, you have to be very productive, you have to take steps, you have to move out, and you have to work. At the same time, you have to tell yourself that, it will all be okay, right? The optimism. I'm sure that Joseph Murphy must have talked about this principle in his book of telling yourself the optimism, right? Keep repeating in your brain, the what is it that you want to achieve, right? Training your subconscious mind to believe it until it becomes a reality. Because that's the thing, many times you might have noticed that if something, if a thought or if anything comes to your subconscious mind and you're stressing on that thought, you end up seeing it in your dreams. I have seen like winning a tournament many times. I've seen clearing my interviews in my dreams because I just stress on that thought too much until it starts to become a reality. Have you experienced the same?
To be honest, yes, I have sometimes.
Right. Like if you are seeing it in your dreams, bro, that means you have like, it's going to be coming true very soon. Like you're stressing on that thought.
And that's exactly what manifestation is, right?
Exactly. You just live like that has happened already. Even though it hasn't, you just live that way. You just keep telling people that, oh, this has happened. Like it just becomes your second reality in a way, till it actually becomes your reality.
Yep. Just like fake it till you make it.
Exactly. In simple words, fake it till you make it. That's true. You know what? You know what, Seri? I love that quote, fake it till you make it. I've been applying it like very rigorously in the past few years and it works like hell.
I know, right? Like I have realized that it actually works.
Yeah, it's so true, dude. I think, it works the best when it comes to confidence. Like if you want to generate confidence in any circumstance, you just fake it, bro. Just fake being confident for 5 minutes, and in the sixth minute, you will realize that you're naturally confident. I've seen it happening. I do it many times myself. I'm a big believer of that. It's so good.
Yes, of course. And there is this quote which I read, and it goes like, if you want to be like someone, then start acting like them. So, what do you have to say in this?
That's a mirror effect that you're trying to pull. I always do this, like the mentors, the idols in our lives. What I also recommend is hang their pictures in your room, right? Yes, you have to like mirror what they are doing, do like try to attain the habits that they have, live that way, try to watch their videos and just try to do everything that they do, right? And also put their pictures and quotes and inspirational things in your room. That will also give you the energy to focus on what they do and become like them eventually.
Absolutely right. And speaking of this, tell me, what is the best piece of advice you have ever received?
Well, it was not from a person, but from a book. I was reading this book on stoicism, and in that book, I found one of the most valuable advices that I ever received. It's very simple, just control the controllables. That's it. I've seen it happening. A lot of people do it. Even I was a victim of this thing where, you know, we would try to get ahead of ourselves and try to control certain things which were clearly out of our control. You're in a relationship, you're being insecure about your girlfriend or guy friend cheating on you. Dude, you don't have to. Just control the controllables, just focus on yourself, right? This implies in every aspect of your life. Let's say the situation, right? What's in your control? You, right? Your nerves, your breath, your attitude, your confidence. Just focus on that instead of focusing on what would happen if I failed the interview. What would the interviewers think of me if I say this? Dude, what they think is not your problem. Just focus on the damn controllable, right? So, this is the most simple yet the most profound advices that I've ever received in my life. Just simply focus on controlling the controllables. That's it. You'll be good.
Well, that sounds like one of the greatest ideologies I came
Indeed,
across
indeed.
with.
It's one. Turns out, this is how the old Stoic people, all the Stoics, they used to be emotionless. Well, being a Stoic does not mean that you're emotionless. You do feel emotion, but the reaction is in your control, right? So it's a very powerful thing. Very powerful. Just focusing on what is under your control and just emphasizing on that part only.
Yes, books are indeed a great source of knowledge. And as a reader, we have seen that there are many books who have sold like millions of copies. However, only 1% of that population actually succeeds in their life.
And that's true.
Exactly. So, what do you think that why people cannot apply those principles in their life and they eventually end up forgetting all the things that they have read?
Yeah, and then it just ends up becoming a book on your bookshelf. I totally understand. Totally understand that concept. I think it happens with a lot of naive readers. Happened with me as well. Thing is, people think that when you're reading a self-improvement book, right, like which has turned out to be one of the bestsellers international, you would learn certain things. The truth is, yes, you do learn certain things from it. So people would read a chapter, learn something, and they would feel good that, oh, I unlocked a new piece of information. They'd move on to the next chapter, and then it gives them that dopamine rush, or you can just call it that self-improvement dilemma, that they're learning something. However, in that dilemma, they forget that they're just learning, they're not applying. I've done this for like 2.5 years in my life. When I was starting out my reading journey, I read like 20 or 25 self improvement books. And when I reflect on all those books, turns out I just know what they talked about instead of applying. I just do not have a memory of applying what I learned from all those books. So that was the problem, right? Because we just get too involved into learning things that we completely forget about like implementing things, and that's the problem. You got to put a full stop on learning new things till you apply the old things first. Right? So yes, my solution to it is quite simple. I came across a self-improvement book, The Magic of Thinking Big, which is the best one, and I'm not moving ahead from it. I'm not starting another self-improvement book till I'm mastering all the principles that I've learned from this book. So just put a hold on your learnings. Find a book which really resonates with you, which you really love. Could be any book, and pick it up and just keep rereading it. Reread it 10, 20 times till you master all the things that are being taught in that book. And that's when you focus on the application part, just applying.
Yes, the key concept being don't pick a new one from the bookshelf until you master the previous one.
Yes.
Okay, so tell me that
Uh-huh.
what is that one book which you will recommend to a newbie, a person who just got into reading?
From self-development or like novels?
Since we are talking about growth and improvement here, so yeah, self development.
Okay. In self-development, I must say, well, the magic of thinking big, I must say. The magic of thinking big. Well, I've read like 20, 25 books now in self-development genre, and this happens to be one of the most outstanding books amongst all. So I would say yes, start with the good one and then just stick to it till you apply. Dude, I'm telling you, if you can just focus on any of the self-improvement book, and just every book is good. Matter of fact, every author is putting out their life experiences in it, and of course it is good. The thing is, the magic happens when you just keep rereading that one book. It might get boring because you already know all the concepts, but trust me, on your second reread, when you read it for the second time, you will discover even newer things. Now you're getting into the depths, right? So it's the same thing, man. It doesn't matter if you have read 20 books, but it really do matter if you have read one book 20 times, right? So application is the big thing here. So I must say, just make the magic of thinking big your first book, and then just keep reading it till you master all the principles that are being taught.
Hmm, the magic of thinking big.
Indeed, indeed. How about you? If you had to recommend a new person a self-improvement book, which book would you go with?
If you'll ask me, I would say one of my favorite from the self-help genre, which is The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
You know what? When you asked me the same question of giving a recommendation to a new person, my thought was contradicting between these two: The Magic of Thinking Big and The Subtle Art, because both of them books are good, man. Like I like both of them books are magic. So it's funny how I said the one and you said the other.
Yeah, I had to say that book's name because that book is crazy. It's something different.
It is. There's a sequel to that book, The Subtle Art. Everything is Fucked by Mark Manson. I've not read it. How about you? Have you read that book?
Oh, yes, I have, after completing the first one.
Yeah, and one of my friends recommended me that book a long time back.
But you know what? I like the first one more.
That's interesting because my friend says that Everything is Fucked. The second book is a much better part of the Subtle Art. Oh well, it's on the perception how
Yes, exactly. I personally believe that the first one is better.
First one is really good, man. I remember it was my second book, right? It was my second book which I read when I started reading, and it blew me away. It was like, dude, this guy is speaking facts.
Yeah, that was also my initial reaction. And hey, you remember that chapter where he talks about disappointed panda?
Of course, I remember. He just hands out the disappointment news.
Yeah. Okay, moving ahead. So tell me that how do you keep motivated yourself?
Okay. Um. So motivation in a nutshell, right? See, to answer that question in a very simple and minimal manner, by tracking the habits that help you generate motivation in simple terms. So how do I like keep motivating myself? First of all, what are the things that motivate me? Let's say involving in a quick spirituality routine, that's one. Doing my workouts, that two. um, Being productive, that's three. And certain habits, right? Reading book or doing my chores, keeping my room clean, making my bed every morning, all these things like little habits. Okay, I have a proper tracking system where I am tracking literally every habit of mine, every small habit, from reading books to waking up in the morning to seeing the sunrise to eating good quality food to keeping my room organized to meditation and spirituality. Every little habit I have a proper track of. So every night when I sit down for tracking my day and when I see a green tick, that generates motivation. In a nutshell, that is the source of motivation for me. When I put a green, I see that, okay, my habits are on track, I'm doing good, and I have done good today. When I green tick that certain habit, it gives a hell amount of motivation for the next day and for this on that specific moment as well. However, when I put a red cross, that okay, today I failed to follow this habit, then it gives me motivation to follow it and get it done tomorrow. So either way, it's a double-edged sword, right? It's a win-win for me. So if I get it red, if I fail to, like complete a task, I would get motivation to do it tomorrow. Then I'm more motivated and more inclined to get that task done specifically. And if I get a green tick, then I'm motivated and inspired that I'm doing good. Therefore, I must do it again tomorrow. So it's like a that thing for me, just track it, right? Because tracking is the main game, right? So just identify what are the things in your life that can motivate you, and then make a proper track where you can clearly see on what days you have missed, on what days you have accomplished your tasks, and then move forward. And that generates a lot of motivation for me, and I believe it will for any individual out there.
Totally agreed. Like tracking your habits is one of the best ways to keep yourself motivated. Because before going to bed, you look at that to do list and you see all those green ticks. That feeling is something unexplainable. I mean, that feeling is so good, and it's enough to keep you motivated, and
Correct. It's just the best feeling, honestly.
it is for sure. All right, we'll conclude this conversation with the last but not the least question, and that is that what is that one thing you wish you could tell your past self?
All right. If there was one thing that I could tell my past self, it would be in a journal. Okay, click pictures, younger Mughal. write down events, your highlights for the day, and have fun and just jot it all down in a journal. Just maintain a journal. that's the that's one thing that I would want my past self to know when I was young, because I've started journaling like a couple years back, and you know, having a proper track of your highlight events. For example, like clearing that job interview, a friend's birthday party, buying something new for yourself, and any highlight, having a proper track of those things and certain pictures in your journal, it really helps to just record your life in a very beautiful way. It's very strange, at times you'll just open your journal and you'll get lost into those memories. So I'm really regretting this thing that I did not start journaling way back when I was literally a kid. So that's one thing I would want my past self to know. Just start journaling as early as you can and capture all the good memories. Click as many pictures as you can and paste it in your journal. Write about events and you know have a very nice and aesthetic, beautiful journal.
Yeah, journaling is beautiful. Like after 10 or 15 years, when you flip the pages of your journal, you'll realize that, okay, this is how far I have come. And so many things have changed.
Exactly, dude. That's so true. Because like, I opened like my journaling page from like I remember like New Year, I was seeing what I did last January and the January before that. Dude, in 2 years I feel like I've come so far. I can't even imagine how I would feel after 10 or 15 years.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Time flies so fast, and I think that it's really important to catch all those memories and store them in the pages of journal. I also started journaling 2 years ago, and whenever I flip the pages of my journal, that the feeling I get, it's magical. It's magical.
That's so true. Like it's very eerie, very strange how life changes so quickly. Well, I do not know about past, man, but in like couple of years, recent 1 year or 1.5 years, my life has went has experienced a drastic change. I was a completely different person. The situation I was in, and comparing it with my current situation and experience, dude, everything has changed, man. And I cannot believe how it would change in the next coming 5 years, 10 years, and so forth. It's beautiful.
Yes, so true. All right, now it's time to call it a conversation.
Sure.
So I want to thank you very much for joining with us today and sharing all those experiences and learnings with us. I really appreciate it, and I learned and enjoyed every single bit of it.
I did not mention at all. As much as you enjoyed it, I enjoyed it as much. And learning things, sharing my experience, and learning from the experience of you, I enjoyed it. And just like you said, every bit of it as much as you did. And thank you so much for inviting me over. I had so much fun talking about the topics and just sharing certain things. And I really hope that I could be um, a good source of knowledge for these 15-20 minutes, right? I'm really happy to be here, and
I appreciate it, and thank you very much.
you're very welcome. Thank you.